know and love come to you like the sound of equipment being thrown from a moving van, the sound of dead cell phones and oil rigs, the sound of empty parking lots and school buses. They love to live and live to love. Ladies and gentlemen, Jesus Children of America, the White Stripes.
Hello. Come on in. The water's great. My name is Ryan Schaap, and this is the hardest podcast to podcast. Is it your first time here? Maybe it's your second time here. Maybe it's your 9th time here. But thank you for coming here. Pull up a chair. Just want to thank Allie Sheldon for her appearance last week, discussing not only The Big Three Killed My Baby, the song off the first White Stripes album, but her and her band's incredible journey, an incredible story, opening up for Jack White at the Commodore Ballroom on the first night of his no-name tour stop here in Vancouver. Just some amazing insight into the incredible environment that they are fostering for up-and-coming bands and giving back and giving a real solid opportunity for people to have their music and their art heard. If you are following us on Instagram at hardestpodtopod or anywhere else on social at that same handle, you would probably see one of the clips from last week's episode regarding Allie speaking on Meg White being punk as fuck and it being incredibly badass to play the way she did and basically saying, I'm going to play the drums the way I want to and you can deal with it. And she cemented herself as one of the more unique and catchier and recognizable drummers of our time. On that clip, Dominic Davis, who is Jack White's bass player, he commented on that clip, and he said, I think one testament to how great Meg is happens when we work up songs from all of Jack's projects and bands. Various drummers with various styles, and White Stripes songs are the hardest to pull off. I think that was just invaluable insight into her legacy and her role in the White Stripes, and to hear other musicians try to emulate that. This week on the show, one of my favorite podcasters and one of the best in the business, Bryan Quinby. He's the man from Ohio. We have an incredibly fun conversation. Bryan is a very good podcaster. He's very unique, very engaging, just such a unique insight to Jack's songwriting and to the White Stripes themselves, because the song this week is Girl You Have No Faith in Medicine off of Elephant. And researching this song, you learn that this song was originally written for White Blood Cells, and Meg refused to record it. She didn't like the lyrics. She thought they were problematic. So we go into that. It was a wild discovery to find, and based on our conversation, which was so fun, this kind of is like Jack White's Facebook memory. You know, when you go on Facebook and there's like posts or photos you've made from, well, now like 15, 16, 17 years ago, when you look at it and go, oh man, why did I do that? I'm calling it here. Girl You Have No Faith in Medicine is Jack White's Facebook memory of, well, why did you do that? Why did you post that? Another thing I want to bring up, two people, Luke and Chris, reached out in the DMs on Instagram, gave me a refresher on how old some of the White Stripes songs are. Take last week's episode on The Big Three Killed My Baby. That song had been around since the Two Star Tabernacle days, which was one of Jack White's band, formed with two members of Blanche. We'll go with Blanche. And they had a version that you can hear online. You can go on YouTube. And that's where the original first verse that I kind of said didn't fit the song too well, that's where that was from. And it got me thinking about, a long time ago, a friend of mine, my White Stripes pal Chris, we were buying bootlegs on CDRs off message boards. And one of the ones he got was Jack White and the Bricks live at the Gold Dollar. I didn't know too much about it. I knew that it became a Vault subscription years later, but in 2003, we had bought this bootleg from 99, and the show was unique because it featured a lot of White Stripes songs, or songs that would become White Stripes songs. And I thought, okay, the only thing I remember from that Bricks, Jack White and the Bricks bootleg from 99 was they played Dead Leaves in the Dirty Ground, and then they played this song called Ooh My Soul, and it sounded so much like the riff to Fell in Love with a Girl. Looking back now and doing a little research, there are so many old songs from that Jack White and the Bricks show from 99 that wound up on the first album, wound up on the second album, wound up on White Blood Cells, hell, even one wound up on Elephant. It goes to show how many songs Jack White had written prior to this project, and it just goes to show like the quality of songwriter for somebody at that age and that experience to have so many songs that turn into so many big hits and important White Stripes songs. If you like what we're doing here, go to buymeacoffee.com/hardestpodtopod. That's buymeacoffee.com/hardestpodtopod. You can contribute as much or as little as you want. You can do it one-off or monthly. And I am thinking about putting some bonus stuff there. There is the Patreon route. There is the Buy Me a Coffee route. But spoiler alert, I have the next handful of episodes done. I've had a very busy week. We recorded 4 episodes. They're all very good. And if you're thinking, well, I'm really enjoying the show and I want a bit more and I want to support, let me know. If you send me an email, you can send me a DM, you can send me just about anything and just say, I wouldn't mind contributing to get those early releases. Just looking to gauge some interest. It is time for our call to action this week. Need you to hit pause on your podcast, go to your streaming platform of choice, and go to Elephant, and go to the second last track, Girl, You Have No Faith in Medicine, and listen to it. So it's fresh in your mind as you listen to Bryan and I discuss this song and much more. And if you're listening on Spotify, you can it should be linked in the description. So hit pause, go listen to Girl, You Have No Faith in Medicine. I'll be here. I'm just going to pop a quick little sugar pill and rattle down the street. All right, with that, it's time to bring up our conversation with Bryan. Stick around till the end of the episode. I'm going to tell you a bit more about what you can expect next week and some insight from our assistant editorial producer. Our guest this week is the host of Guys, a podcast about guys from the POD cast. That's cast with a K, a new metal podcast. This is Bryan Quinby. Bryan, how are you doing today?
Hey, how's it going? I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. The weather's nice, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Observations from your first walk.
Yeah, just coming in with the only thing I've done today is go to Starbucks and walk up like 60 flights of steps in the convention center. So that's the only thing I've done all day. So all of my observations are like, wow, there were a lot of steps.
Man, they are not
There was a
maintained.
Starbucks.
Yeah, the music's just not what it used to be in these Starbucks, man. I tell you, kids.
Do they still? I don't even know if they still. I guess they probably have to still play music in Starbucks, but
Yeah.
I don't think that there is that genre anymore. There was like I think they've just changed the name to like, because my wife was listening to like some playlist last night called like acoustic something, and it was weird because they had Karma Police on it, which used to sit in my car. Used to sit in my work van and cry to that song.
You're having a tough one that day, man.
Well, it was at the cable company. I just didn't want to be there, and I wasn't doing what I wanted to be doing with my life and stuff like that. So you hear that song and you're just listening to it, and you're like, "Fuck, dude,
Just
sucks." And you repeat, and you're like, "I gotta get out of here."
I could listen to something happier, but I'm gonna keep feeling these feelings.
Yeah.
It's too real.
So
It
like I'm not a Radiohead fan, but I like that one album. It really hit me at the same time that the White Stripes hit me when I was
okay.
it was like, you know, that was another side of what I was getting into at the time. Like I was like into Radiohead, just anything, basically anything Deftones mentioned. I was like, oh, I'm really into that. That's
The
the
Def
music I like.
the Deftones mentioned the White Stripes.
I don't know if they did the White Stripes, but
Yeah,
they that whole thing happened because I was an avid reader of magazines.
sure. Yeah.
Spin and Rolling Stone. Like I just read them all. I read them every month. I don't know why. Like I remember reading the political articles and be like, I don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. Like I had no idea what anything was. They
Yeah.
didn't like any of the music I liked. They would
No.
always be like, Corn, 1 star, shit album, poop. And then like but then I ended up, in Spin, they really pushed the Strokes in that magazine
Spin loved the Strokes and the White Stripes, and so did Rolling Stone. So did NME. Like they were the critic. Like we're here to talk about a band that we like and respect, but at the same time, they were darlings for the critics. The critics ate them up.
Spin was crazy with it. It really, you would have thought. I mean, you think about some of that stuff that Spin was pushing at the time, and you're like, God damn, some of it was really good. And it went away. Like the Hives just not being around anymore. Veni Vidi Vicious is such an awesome fucking album. Like that album is so fucking good. It's just they're not even around anymore.
The Hives are around, but nobody's talking about them. You make
Yeah.
a real point.
Because they were great. And
Oh
like
yeah.
the fucking shame of the Hives to me is that like what ended up happening was Jet got their heat. And you're like, fucking Jet, dude.
And if you're somebody that's 20 years old now, you're like, man, Jet was huge. No, they were in an Apple commercial, and then that was it. We remember, trust us.
But you can't, you really, I don't know, if you go to a place where they're trying to play rock and music, you're probably gonna hear fucking Jet.
Yeah.
Is a guess for me because that song is just oh, you gonna be my girl. That song was like ubiquitous. That song was fucking everywhere. It was in every commercial. It was in every movie trailer. It was fucking everywhere. And you're just like, and the Hives like can't get covered in a magazine, but
Yeah.
Jet is just the most around thing in the world because that Jet sounds like the bad Hives. You know what I mean? The Hives, if the Hives were bad, would be Jet.
And then they started sounding like bad Oasis because they really started going down that route. And just
what a crappy band.
I agree. It's not a crappy band, Brian. That's the White Stripes. You're very prolific in your fandom of new metal, and you're carrying the torch and properly covering it. What was the jump from new metal to the White Stripes?
It was just there was this need to be better. Listen, this is not good, and people shouldn't take this lesson from anything. I had this need to be better than the guys I worked with at the cable company. Like I had this need to be like the cultured guy.
Yep.
At the blue collar job, and I don't even know why. Like I don't know why now because I guess like maybe I do indulge in some of that stuff still, but like I'm much more like comfortable analyzing like low culture stuff. That's what they call it. I don't think anything's low, but like at the time I just really wanted to be better than those guys, so I adopted all of the entire aesthetic of Spin magazine. Like anything involved in that, I was like, holy shit, I'm one of these guys. And then I'd heard about the White Stripes. I'd heard Fell in Love with a Girl, thought it was okay. But then I heard Dead Leaves on a Dirty Ground, and I was like, oh, these guys are fucking awesome. Because it's almost a heavy song. You know what I mean? So like for a metal guy, It pulls you right in.
That song cuts. That song, as it's as quiet as it is heavy. Like it is the full gamut of just of 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 what you're looking for in a song with attitude and with I don't know, with just emotion. Like you can listen to, you don't instead of tearing up to Karma Police, you can put that one on and be like, it's time to make a change. This isn't working.
Yeah, and in the end, like once I was off the White Stripes and off a lot of these bands, like I did end up just being into like garage rock anyway. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like in the end, it ended up being, these guys suck as people, but the Black Lips, I got really into King Khan and
yeah,
Mark
that's a great
Sultan
band.
and King Khan and the Shrines and
Oh
like
yeah,
all this stuff. Like I got so into that stuff and I still love it so much. And honestly, like there are two types of music I like because I also very much like when my daughter was born, I didn't feel like I had time to like follow fashion or music or anything like that. Like I just
sure.
was like in a thing where it was like everything is just too hard right now. So I dressed like shit, looked like an idiot, and also like just got way into classic rock. But like I didn't get into the same kind of classic rock that like my dad liked or that people's dads liked. I kind of went the other way and got really into like the garage rock stuff, the Nuggets albums and stuff like that, and I got into the Velvet Underground and Lou Reed, obviously,
Yeah,
like, just fucking that's, like they were huge for me, and then now it really is, like, everything's kind of informed by this mix of metal and this garage thing because I love pop music, like, I love doo-wop and shit like that, like, I love that stuff is great. And the White Stripes does some of that stuff. That's kind of what I like. This song, maybe that I picked isn't, but this song is like, it's funny because so I got goofed on for this already. So you can go find the audio. I think it's free, actually. I don't even think it's on the Patreon. If it is on the Patreon, you can find it. It's easy. It's a live show that me and Chris did with Stefan and John, Steph from Block Party. We did this live show. I had a tape of myself being a guest DJ on
of
this radio
course. Yeah,
alt rock station. Yeah. So I have this tape, and the way that you got that gig was you sent them 10 songs. And I just sent them like stuff I knew they weren't gonna play, just kind of hoping that they get me on there, and then I would look like a fucking cool dude. Now they did get
sure.
me on there, but they got me on there on a Sunday when nobody was fucking listening. But this song was one of my favorite songs at the time from the White Stripes, and I was like, "Fuck it, yeah, let's put this on there." This was the song I played when it was when I did that guest DJ thing, and that's kind of why I picked it because I think there was a period where it was my favorite song. And then,
It's a fantastic song, and it's okay. The song this week, if you haven't seen, you're looking at the title. It's "Girl, You Have No Faith in Medicine." It's the second last track off of Elephant, and I I'm gonna be honest. Like I slept on this for a while. It kind of got pushed back with the fun, goofy song and After Air Near My Fingers. So like I didn't listen to it as much as I probably should have, but it was on loop for me yesterday. I was driving around just listening to this song on loop, and sonically, it is all over the map. It is so loud, it is so frantic, and it's probably we'll get into that in a bit, but it's like Meg White sounds like she's playing drums pissed off in it. And I think it's a very cool song. What about it stands out to you? What hooks you?
can like for a little background on me, uh, I also like the classic rock that I ended up getting into, like I said, was like the Velvet Underground and stuff like it. But the other side of that
Yeah.
is that like instead of the Beatles, I like really like the Rolling Stones. Like I fucking love that band so much. And this
It's a
song,
great band.
yeah, this song sounds like what I love of the Rolling Stones, but maybe a little bit like Jack White's got a more aggressive voice And I think that's one of the reasons I really like it. It just reminds me of something you would hear off Exile on Main Street or like Sticky Fingers or something like that. And I love those fucking albums. So like I think that it's like a heavy version of that. It's like it isn't it isn't like as they tend to go bluesy sometimes, especially I feel on Elephant with songs
Hmm.
like Ball and a Biscuit and shit like that. Like they tend this isn't bluesy at all. This is almost like cool garage rock, like kicked up like one little notch. And I just really love it. I love the energy of the song. I love the rhyme of acetaminophen and you see the medicine. I think that's
It's the best.
I always think I mean, when I see the word acetaminophen, I think of this song,
Yeah.
like that it's just in it. I'm not even sure. So I'm not even sure. Like this song just sticks with me more than almost anything else on that album. Obviously, Seven Nation Army probably
Yeah.
because it's just a thing you hear all the time. But yeah, this song sticks with me quite a bit. I like this one.
It's also got a riff that I don't think there's any other songs in their catalog that kind of have that type of timing or whatever you want to call, but like it is a frantic riff that just, it's kind of played in a blues structure, but the timing of it is a little more unique, and like it is a very, very, like, it's catchy as hell, but it doesn't, um a lot of their songs are so simple. Like this song just sounds, it sounds like the most complicated, simple song I've ever heard. And you've got moments in it where, he's playing up on the headstock, and he's got that high, phonetic kind of, and he's going into the octave. He's got those random licks in there. Like it's all over the place, but it all kind of, fits in between the lanes and gets you where you need to go. Um, this song, so this is fun because I was curious, what we're gonna talk about on this episode. Like, yeah, this is a great song. It's very unique, but I started poking around last night, and my first thought hearing it was, this sounds like something that probably should have been on White Blood Cells. It probably would have been earlier in the earlier in the track listing, and kind of like maybe been a single. Um, with the White Stripes, they said in an interview once, like they put the songs they think are going to be the hits, they're at the top of the album,
Yeah.
and that's just fine. And at the end of the album, it's inside jokes or things that they like, or they don't really give a shit. So it's kind of buried down there. But I learned this week, or learned last night, that Meg refused to record it around White Blood Cells, and she thought the lines were the lyrics were problematic. She didn't like what Jack had written. If you look at these lyrics, Jack's kind of scoffing at women, scoffing at their tendencies and their habits, and saying like, "Oh, you're just you fiddle around too much. You don't take what you need. You scoff about medication." So I don't know. When you hear that Meg thinks the lyrics are problematic and refuses to do the song, and you kind of look at the lyrics and their relationship, does your mind kind of go anywhere about what it could be, or why she wouldn't want to do that?
It's weird because I read the song as being more about medicine or like honestly the placebo effect.
Yeah.
Like I read the song as more being about that. Like I read the song as being like, oh, uh, uh, you have all these worries, you have all these things that you care about. We'll hand you like a thing, and you can just pretend to cure it, and it's cured. I guess it's like something in that way. I never read it as like any comment on women. I think maybe the one of the reasons because I'm a dude, but the second reason is like it always sounds so cool when you say girl in a song like that.
Oh,
Like
hell yeah.
it just sounds cool, but I really didn't think like I guess maybe I'm wrong, but I really didn't think that it was about the girl necessarily. That was just a lyric to fill in a space in the chorus or whatever. I thought
Yeah.
it was about the medicine more. So I'm probably wrong, but Meg ended up recording it, so maybe I was right.
uh, Jack, in an interview, said, "It's about the irritation I was constantly getting with females arguing about headache medicine. Like, oh, I can't take Tylenol, it doesn't work. Whereas a guy would just take anything. He doesn't even think about it. It seemed like this tiny thing was a big telling sign of feminine behavior. In my eyes, a guy can just put his coat on and run out the door, but a girl has to take 25 minutes waddling around looking for her purse or whatever. Not that one's better than the other, but that they're different."
What's the deal with women? That's crazy. I mean, Jack White, I'll be honest. I went to Third Man when I was in Nashville
Yeah.
and stuff. And the overwhelming vibe I got about Jack White from everything I know is that he is as dumb as a fucking box of rice. He's stupid. He's a stupid man, which is fine. Like, that's the thing we learned about in new metal too, because I grew up being like, oh, these guys have it all figured out. You know what I mean? They're singing about the world and shit.
Yeah.
And then me and John start doing this podcast. It's like, these guys are all fucking stupid. They're like all insanely stupid. And part of that, I think, is my career. Like, as in, like, now I've met a decent amount of famous people and people
Yeah.
in bands. And I'm like, oh, they're exactly like me. Like, they're fucking, in your mind, you think of a famous person. You think, oh, this guy gets up every day, goes to 5 meetings, up, down, up. You know what I mean? I'll take it. I won't. I'll have it. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I always thought of stand-up comedians. I thought stand-up comedians were so busy.
And
then I start doing this podcast. My podcast is successful. I don't mind saying. No,
very good too.
My podcast is successful, and like, I don't ever have anything to fucking do. Recently, Chris was gone for a few episodes for personal reasons, and that made it hard for me, and I felt very behind. That's the only time in my whole life I've ever felt like this is kind of a hard job. Like, most of the time I'm just like, I don't do anything. I don't do anything important for the world. I read Reddit for one day, and then I make fun of the people on Reddit. So I think, like, there's a mystique to famous guys that you lose when you meet a few. And
Sure,
Jack White is the type of famous guy. I've never met a guy as famous as Jack White.
Okay.
Maybe I have. I don't know. I don't know the fuck I've met, but I don't think I've ever met a guy as famous as Jack White. But I just assume that he's stupid.
Well, like, what gave it away? What at Third Man gave you that impression? Because I've been
just had weird, like, stuff, like just weird, like, statements on cell phones and stuff like that. Like, it was just a lot of like dumb guy shit. Where it was just, I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember looking at my wife and being like, "This place is fucking stupid." You know what I mean? Like, I didn't see a band there or anything. To be fair. But yeah, there was just some stuff in there, it is really just, I don't think you get where he is doing what he does without a lot of people putting up with your shit and you never learning. You know what I mean? So while I'm surprised to learn that this song was about women more than it was about medicine, I'm kind of not surprised that he has those feelings or had those feelings. First of all, he's young when this happened.
Yeah, young as hell. Like, he's 20. He would have been like 25 when he wrote that song.
Yeah. And I was even like not a great guy at 25. It's hard to be a great guy. It's hard to be a good guy, like, in the real world.
Yeah.
But it's, I think, harder when you're famous. When you're a famous guy, I just think guys like that, we give them a lot of credit. We give them so much because we're like, we don't listen. I know this isn't true, but I also know that in my life I've said, you don't get. I'll give you an example. 3 years ago, I was at Christmas with my family.
Mm-hmm.
I was fucking really mad about Twitter because, listen, I was on there a lot. It probably has a lot to do with my career. You know what I mean? And then Elon bought it and tanked it and fucked it up. And this is the year that he bought it. He had just bought it.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to Christmas dinner with my dad. And I was like, this guy is so fucking stupid. I was like, I can't believe how stupid this man is. And my dad just was like, how do you get where you are if you're stupid? And I'm like, because once you get where you are, nobody will tell you you're fucking stupid because they just want to be around you. That's your whole life. There's a level of fame where nobody will say, no, actually, Jack, you're wrong about women, or maybe you shouldn't say this about women, except for Meg, like, because she knew him before. So, like, I just think he's 25.
Yeah.
First of all, so you got to give him a rest on that. And musicians are not funny either. I know that when musicians try to tell jokes on stage, or when you read something where they were joking around on a podcast and it sounds stupid, you're like, hey, these guys just aren't funny either. You know what I mean? They just want to be comedians, but they're not. Just like me. I want to be a fucking guitar player in a heavy metal band. I would fucking love to be that. I can't, because I can't play guitar. I can't sing. I can't drum. I can't play bass. You know what I mean?
But you'd like to.
I would fucking so much prefer that to being a podcaster. I can't tell you how much I would rather be in a cool rock band than be a podcaster.
In the few gigs that I played in high school bands where I faked my way through playing guitar, there is no cooler feeling than somebody responding positively to your music and just like imagining what they go through and getting high off of that. Yeah, it all makes perfect sense, and all sign me up.
Yeah, and that's why guys like this, I think that's why guys like this, they're just so sort of, they get there. They get it every night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then now they're like, well, I think I could be funny too. You know what I mean? And then they shoot, they're like, oh, I'll do a little cheeky thing. And I think that might be the reason for this song too, where Jack was like, it'd be funny to sing about how women be shopping or whatever.
The women be shopping Jack White song.
There probably could be one if this is, but yeah, I think like, I just think Meg telling him, hey, what?
Come on, man.
What is this? And then him, like Meg telling him, hey, what is this? He might have changed. Did he change lyrics when she told him?
Yeah. So, not even Meg could remain mute in the face of this, Keith wrote. I don't know about that song, she sighed. Makes me want to smack him a lot. But is it true? Jack asked. I don't know, Jack. Maybe you're just hanging out with the wrong women. You might be right about that, Meg. Jack laughed. Like, I love that she, like, yeah, like you said, this is a woman in the band that has the same level as him, and she's also known him since, you know, they met when she was bartending in suburban Detroit, and he was just a ho-hum upholsterer that liked the blues. Like, she looks at him with zero ego. She sees the talent and respects the talent, but also is like you're not getting away with that one. And it's like, I think that's why the White Stripes were as cool as they were and as successful as they were, was because you had the Meg funnel. Like, she's way cooler than Jack. Everybody will tell you that. She, you know, even Jack will. But, you know, she kept him in line. And when he goes and does solo albums, some are good, and some, unfortunately, he fell on his face and had to dust himself off. I think his last album and the last tour and the punk rock DIY approach to it has kind of been a humbling experience and kind of rejuvenated him. And so I have no knock on what he's doing now, but he definitely had the Rich Guy Weird albums that just did not translate.
I don't even know, because the thing is like, the money is one thing. Like, as a person who finally made some money, that's like, that is just a thing where it's like, oh, I'm comfortable. I don't have to worry about this anymore. Like, I worry less about this now. Like, I still worry about it all the fucking time because I'm insane. But like, I worry a lot less about money now. I think the thing that he has that I don't have is extreme fame. And like, again, it's hard even when you talk to somebody who you see as like a famous person and tell them like because you don't want to piss them off. You know what I mean? There's so many people backstage that if they piss him off, they don't have a job anymore. So, like at that time, I think it's the power more than it
Hmm.
is even the money because I think that like people want to be around fame so badly. You know what I mean? And like, it's even more so now, but back then there was no real clear path to it.
No.
Back in 2003, there was no real clear path to finding an audience. And he somehow was able to figure that out. And I think that's one of the reasons too, where we're like, he's kind of a smart guy. You know what I mean? Because he figured that part
Yeah.
out. But it turns out in the end, though, that a lot of the people that were very successful were not so much smart. They were very ambitious. And that
Yeah.
is like,
He's a
that's what
very
gets you
hard
there.
worker, and he's
Yeah.
got that drive. And like, I would say he is a very good songwriter, like very consistent, but they worked. Like, he has that work ethic from,
Yeah.
growing up working class. So like, no knock to him, but it's not a smart way of getting successful. It is luck, absolute luck, and hard work. Like, just like,
Yeah. It's
yeah.
doing what you think. There is like a sort of like, like I said, I know some people that are in movies and stuff like that. It is a thing where it's like it's not just some aloof thing. You have to go for it. And
Yeah.
and the thing about music, like rock music, and even like the scene I feel like I'm in podcasting is you can't have people seeing that you're working. You know what I mean? Like for Jack White, it has to seem like, "Oh, man, yeah, the radio just came to me, dude." You know what I mean? Like, that's I
Of
think that's how it has to seem for
course.
him, because that is how it works, but, like, what we don't see is the stuff where he's like, well, picking a single or, like, writing a song or, like, taking a gig,
Mhm.
opening for somebody that maybe he doesn't like as a band.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? There's like a lot of those little things that you do, and there's like a lot of these little things that you have to do in the background in order for it to all work. I mean, you don't get where he is without being a team player with the record label
Of
in
course not.
2003. Like, you
Yeah.
got to be doing everything they fucking ask you, you know?
That's one of the reasons that they had to go on hiatus in the Icky Thump tour in '07 was like, they did their ambitious cross Canada tour, which, is probably the only band that's ever done that. But they were like flying back to Europe because of requirements that just like absolutely burnt them out, and more specifically burnt out Meg. So like, yeah, they were doing what they wanted, but they were also doing what they were told at the exact same time, and there's
Yeah.
no other way to say that.
I didn't like Icky Thump. Like, I really was out on him. You know what got me out on Jack White was the Rackin' Tours. Like, when I first heard Steady As She Goes, I was like, this isn't what I was looking for. This is just rock music, which
Yeah.
is fine. If you like that, if you like just rock, that's fine. For me, it was like, man, these guys used to have like an edge,
Yeah.
and now they have this new band, and maybe they're good now.
They're
I
fine.
never, of all the people I've seen, and I've seen so many people in concert. Like, I
No.
go anytime something comes through town. This is one band I've never seen. Like, I've seen bands. It's crazy because I've seen like bands that most people have. I've seen. I guess now it's different. I've seen Neutral Milk Hotel, and
Yeah.
I've seen like Pantera, and I've seen like I've seen all these bands that aren't doing anything anymore. Rage Against the
Mhm.
Machine. I saw them at Woodstock '99.
Yeah.
Uh, and like I think like I don't know why the White Stripes. I don't think they ever came here, maybe, or I
Oh,
was
I
broke.
gotta cut you off there because you're,
Oh, really?
our man Brian here is as a man of Ohio. He's a man of Columbus, and the White Stripes played Columbus 6 times.
What?
They played Little Brothers in 2000 and 2001.
Okay, that place is I Here's the thing, 2000, 2001, I'm living on the east side. I don't even know there's a downtown. I feel like downtown is the longest drive in the history of the world. It is only 20 minutes, 15 maybe. But to me, I was like, fuck, I got to drive into the big city. So I didn't see a lot of the smaller scale shows. You know, Nirvana was playing here. Like this Little Brothers
Yeah.
and a couple of the other bars on campus are very famous. Bernie's Distillery.
I was
Like
curious about these places. Yeah.
yeah, there were places on campus that are just Mean Mr. Mustard's, like that were like rock clubs.
Yeah.
There are no more rock clubs except for the Newport Music Hall, which is a big club that it's the longest running nightclub, I think, in the United States.
Oh, cool.
But it is like it's a bit way bigger venue, like than Brothers or any of those things. But we did have like a scene here because obviously, I don't know if who's that band? Times New Roman, maybe. There are a few bands from here that are kind of big in that scene. I know King Khan came here a lot because of and I'm gonna say it, and I have to say it, but I apologize ahead of time. Jay Retard came here all the time.
Oh,
And
yeah.
knew some guy, and he is like one of the best of all time. I wish I could say his name without feeling insanely uncomfortable. But like
Yeah.
he came here all the fucking time, and it was because there was like a small scene. Like there were 5 or 6 clubs that you could play as a band. And
Yeah.
like I just wasn't cool enough, man. The only time I went downtown was to see ICP or Deftones. Like it really did. Downtown just seemed like, and I was just talking about this yesterday on Blue Sky. I did drive out to where I grew up yesterday in
Yeah.
order to try to donate some Legos, and it looks exactly the fucking same.
Working class town.
Phew, well, everything's crumbling. Like it's insane. Like you drive across a bridge and the concrete on the bridge has crumbled. Like it's
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
literally rock has turned to gravel, and there's no trees, which is insane. Because there's if you saw where I live now, which is downtown, you'd be like, damn,
Yeah.
that's a lot of tree. There's trees everywhere. You know
Sure.
what I mean? No trees out there, no people. It was all fast food places. And like it just felt 100 miles away from the city where some of this stuff was going on, you know. And also
I'd agree with you. Like I grew up in the burbs and like an hour drive from downtown, and like that is a trek. And you know, that's effort to seek out something that you're unsure of.
did you go through a phase though because I went through a phase where like I'm not gonna listen to a local band. It just isn't gonna fucking happen. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
don't know if I did, but
you
I
didn't?
liked it.
Well, Vancouver's cool.
Sure.
Columbus is not. And I just remember like seeing like just let's show up to the show late. I don't want to hear a local band. I don't care about a local band. And every one of them sucks. And I think that's a common thing because like on my old show, we used to tour quite a bit because we were both from the United States and we could work in the United States. And we would sell 100. I mean, I'm talking like 600 tickets in New York, you know, 300 tickets in Chicago. Like we were selling real
making
real
money,
amounts
baby.
of tickets. In Columbus, Ohio, we couldn't sell anything.
Nobody
Like,
wanted to
nobody
see a
gave
local
a
guy.
Nobody
you
gave
rubbed
a
off
shit.
on them.
And it took so long for us to
Mhm.
actually grab a foothold here.
Yeah.
Like that we did end up doing like kind of a big venue, and it felt good to do. But like, yeah, it was just weird. Like I had found myself to be a guy that really liked what I perceived to be underground music, right? When I was in 1995, when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and I found Korn and Limp Bizkit, and this all happened before they hit. You know what I mean? Like I was a Limp Bizkit fan before the first album came out.
Yeah, you take pride in that. You identify with it.
And then they became huge bands, and then you start to think, well, I'll just take whatever they're giving me. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like if who's this band touring with Korn? Oh, they must be cool. I'll check into that. Who's this band touring with Deftones? Oh, they must be cool. And that's the only band you're into at that time. And
I'd agree with you. Yeah.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
just
You
like,
go through that.
and they're these bands that you saw in small venues are these huge bands now. So I don't know. It feels like the mainstream comes to you,
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh fuck it. That works for me. It's easier than digging through fucking CDs at Record Connection and stuff. And then
Totally.
I started again. I didn't find any of these bands when they were underground. I didn't find White Stripes when they were underground. I guess like Black Lips and King Kong are still kind of underground in a way. Like they're not playing huge venues. I think most people you talk to don't know who they are.
Yeah, if you come across somebody that likes those bands, like you point out, like, "Oh, I know that song. You know it too." There's another one of you.
And the weird hate of mainstream stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like that weird thing where you're like, I found this band, it got really famous, but listen, this is how I made it out of the new metal era without getting into those fucking post-grunge bands. Why I don't listen to Breaking Benjamin. This is why I don't listen to like Shinedown and stuff like that. The reason I don't is because at that point it then became these bands are too big. I don't like these bands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I even, me and John talk about this a lot. We were out on Korn for I was out on Korn for a decade until their album The Nothing came out in like 2019 or 2018. And I was like,
that's a long run to be out.
Yeah. It's the same thing with wrestling. I mean, you're a wrestling fan. You know how it is. Like you watch wrestling as a kid, and then at some point you're like, I don't need this anymore. And then you come back to it later in life and watch it in a different way.
Absolutely.
Than you did when you were a kid. And I think that's how I am with music now too.
And I'd say that I'm the same way with Jack White projects and the White Stripes. Like it comes in cycles. You have this underlying passion and appreciation for the music, but you're not always out there leading the parade. Brian, are you saying that you didn't make the trek in to see the White Stripes open up for the Rolling Stones at Nationwide Arena in 2002?
I wouldn't have seen the Rolling Stones. I wouldn't have liked them in 2002. God, it's hard for me to figure out what I was into in 2002. It would have had to have been Insane Clown Posse and Deftones. Wait, let me see. There is an album I think can be a signpost here. I might be able to. Deloused in the Comatorium came out in 2003. 2003 was my switch. You know what I mean? Like this is the time when I'm very surface level into this stuff. Deloused was a massive album for me. I don't know if you've ever listened to that album by the Mars Volta.
Oh,
but, yeah, that was a big thing for me, like a huge thing. And it sort of changed how I listen to music and stuff like that. And that is when I was more open to weird stuff because the Mars Volta is a really weird band.
They are a very strange band. I saw them open up for System of a Down once.
Yeah. They don't give a shit about what your experience. They just want to do their thing. But so this would be that year. So I don't think I was into the Rolling Stones. I think I was moving in a prog direction for a period of my life.
Let's dive back to Jack. He's got another comment about these lyrics, which kind of crack me up. I suppose it's just I suppose it is just about this tongue-in-cheek take on male and female relationships when things are bothering girls about headache medicine. Jack explained to Genius.com, aspirin, Tylenol, things like that. It's like men can take anything like a sugar pill and it will make their headache go away, but there's always some sort of special care for women. It's sort of like a metaphor for taking the time to care for someone, I guess.
I would love somebody to tell him to just say, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, it's such a confusing thing to say.
Yeah.
Like, but nobody will ever ask him. Nobody, I've talked about this. Please do.
You know the goal of this show, right?
Yeah. To interview Jack White.
3 times.
3 times. I have. Here's what I'll say. I used to go absolutely crazy because I did a political show before I did Guys.
Yeah.
And I used to go absolutely nuts when a guy, a politician would say something stupid and then everybody just move on to the next thing. Instead of somebody saying, the fuck are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, why would you say that?
Yeah.
And like, I used to say, man, if we could just have access to them and say, what the fuck are you talking about? That'd be great. You reading that quote, all I wanted to do is go to Jack White and say, just think like women and Tylenol, like you're singing about like how women like Tylenol. It's such a fucking weird, like it doesn't make any sense. This is an experience that is just to Jack White, I think. He had a girlfriend. She was like, oh, I need to bring some Tylenol. And then he's like, oh man, women love Tylenol.
He writes it down.
Yeah.
I'm
Got a little moleskin book. He writes, women love Tylenol, and moves to the next thought later on.
I'd love to ask Meg with I don't, I think like when you kind of approach this, like, we're saying a problematic lyric or a few lyrics was changed or removed. I think in today's we're like, what a bad person. We're like, no, this is a dumb guy in his 20s, and his ex-wife was like, you're kind of being dumb. Like I would just love to know where his brain went and how he tried to sell it to Meg. Like, no, this song maybe doesn't dig at people or tendencies you might have. It's about Tylenol. It says so in my Moleskine book.
Yeah. It's just one of those things where, like, this happens to me sometimes, where you'll be like, you know what I mean? And they don't know what you mean. They're like, I don't know. I don't know what that means, actually. That is this song. Is Jack White saying women love Tylenol, and you know what I'm saying? And you're like, no, I don't. I have no fucking idea. Because when I have a headache, I take Tylenol too.
I'm an Advil guy, liquid gel.
Well, either one I'll take.
I'm worried when we achieve our goals on this show. Jack comes in and I'm talking to him and I'm like, I just said a headache. I took some extra strength liquid gel Advil. He ends the call because he's like, oh, not this again. Like, yeah, I've been down this road one too many times.
It's wild. What a wild. I mean, I really wouldn't have guessed that the song was actually about medicine. Really interesting.
This,
weird song.
It's been a weird couple of hours for me doing prep for this song. Now, Brian, you have a fantastic show. I absolutely love called Guys, a podcast about guys. I did a family trip down to Tennessee to go to Third Man, to go to a Predators Canucks game, and then go to Graceland, as my dad is an Elvis stan. Driving back from Memphis to Nashville, I subjected the minivan to Rockabilly Guys episode. Big pops, people loved it. 2 questions. You are very big into classic rock, guys. It is a reoccurring theme on your show. The White Stripes were just not appointed to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, their first year of eligibility. What are the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame guys thinking about them getting in so quickly?
They're so stupid. They're like wrestling guys. They should have. They're definitely getting in, but maybe a few years later. It's like,
make them earn it.
Fucking just put them in. It doesn't like none of this. I can't believe how much people take that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame seriously. But I'll say this: it's hard to not fall into. Why isn't this guy in there? It's very it's like an addiction. You have to like say it doesn't fucking matter to yourself. You know what I mean? Because at times you're like, wait a minute. The White Stripes are in there, but somebody else isn't in there. And I guess they could have waited, but they're getting in. Who cares? There's not a limit. I don't think I don't think there's a limited number of people that get in every year. Like they can put as many or as few as they want to in, I believe,
Yeah,
every year.
it's not like the WWE Hall of Fame where like we need a main eventer, we need a woman, we need a person of color, and we need a builder or a a goofball. Like it's and it's not the baseball Hall of Fame that has stringent requirements. It's what do a bunch of boomers that really like guitar rock think, and it kind of makes
It,
sense why the White Stripes would get in. Like, oh, they wrote their own music. There's no there's instruments that we recognize, and there's an approach to music that we can be comfortable about. We didn't listen to them, but we like that they didn't do anything weird.
I would also say that most of the voting is done by like appointed members of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame board, and it's a lot of guys in bands.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like Tom Morello is in there. There's like guys in bands and music producers and label people. The actual fan vote for that is only worth. There's like I think I'm gonna get this number wrong because it's been a long time since, or it's been a couple weeks, but I think there's like something like 900 or 500 people who vote, and the fan vote counts as one person. So it's not even really.
Oh, wow.
It means nothing. I think maybe it's
Yeah.
188. I don't remember. It's like a weird number where the fan vote means almost nothing.
Yeah.
But like I think the White Stripes is one of those bands that a lot of people respect in the indie industry. They've sold a ton of fucking albums. And I think that like the musicians that are in probably know them and think they're cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they let them in. Because like I wish I knew the amount of votes, but yeah, it seems to me that they're trying to appease people, and this would be a way. Like they have to get people to watch a fucking bad show on HBO Max. The induction ceremony. They have to get people to watch that. So they have to pick people that people would want to watch.
Yeah, it's bad, and that's why nobody cares about Foreigner.
Yeah, well, they got in though. So
Jukebox Hero finally made it. Ah, Jesus.
yeah. There really is like I don't even think the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has like I don't I it's a museum.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. It's a museum. It's people want to go there. People want to talk about it. It's a perfect thing for idiots to talk about. You know what I mean?
Hey, you know who's a big Rock and Roll Hall of Fame guy?
Who?
Chris
Howard
Jericho.
Stern. Oh yeah, of course. Of course.
He did.
is.
I'm sure he still does, but every year he would do a podcast about people getting in, and just he's fascinating to me because I imagine that he would have like a million things to say about Foreigner and be like, the White Stripes, yeah, I guess they can get in. But he's like, he looks at everything like there are requirements. Like they've done this, they've done that. Like it's so funny listening to a meathead try to categorize and quantify like art, and he's fascinating to listen to.
And not understanding that it's just like they were magazine darlings, and a lot of the people they're voting wrote in the magazines.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, and like they were just people like them. They were innovative in a way. Like at the time that they came out, music was not like alt rock wasn't at its biggest. You know what I mean? Like the type of stuff they do wasn't at its height, and they somehow became these huge band.
Yeah.
And they made a lot of those guys money. And I think that like it's like you're gonna put them in. Who cares when you do it? Maybe next year, Bad Company. I think Bad Company might have gotten in this year.
They finally got it too.
Because the way I think about it is, and I think about this with the Wrestling Hall of Fame too,
Yeah.
is that like there has to be a cutoff where some people you think might have to be in it don't make it. You know what I
Sure.
mean? So like it doesn't. It's not a Hall of Fame if everybody who has a slight amount of fame gets in. You know what I mean? It's not a Wrestling Hall of Fame if R-Truth gets into the Hall of Fame. You know, fine. I guess he's like a good guy or whatever, and people like him.
Good guy in the room.
But he didn't
do anything.
Do anything in the
No.
time that he was doing stuff. Or like that's where I said about Bad Company. It's like, I guess if you like them, it's fine. I'm not going to get crazy about it. They did have like a lot of hits, but a band like Bad Company maybe should be not in, or a band like Judas Priest maybe should be not in, because of there has to be a level. There has to be a level somewhere where people don't get in. And I just think the Hall of Fame is just going to be, listen, I'm not trying to be an everybody gets a trophy guy, but I just think like any band that was kind of famous is going to end up in there someday.
Yeah.
Whether it's posthumously or when they're alive. The White Stripes luckily get to do it when they're alive, that's good.
And like Jack is turning 50 in like next month, so he gets to go in. I don't know, it kind of reminds me of like Metallica went in 2009. Like they were still young and not miserable and still trying to accomplish things and make music that they wanted to. I'll be fascinated if Meg goes.
It's 22 years ago. They're not some young band or anything.
Yeah.
And like, again, like whatever classic rock is like, it's a genre. They're not going to be included in that genre when it comes around, because classic rock ends in the 80s. It doesn't.
That's right.
The Nirvana can't be classic rock. White Stripes can't be classic rock. Classic rock has to be like fucking Bad Company and the Beatles and Led Zeppelin and shit like that. You know what I mean? Well, I'm just being mean to, but yeah, I think that like, whatever it's gonna end up being named, I think that is an issue, right? It's like the classic rock guys are like, but wait a minute, classic rock's supposed to go in the Hall of Fame, not rock, regular rock. And I think that's the way they think of the White Stripes. The White Stripes aren't classic rock. They could never be classic rock.
Yeah,
you know,
they
what
started
I mean?
in 1997. That was like almost 30 years ago. Like you got to realize that we're all getting old, and there's a classic rock is getting, you either expand it or you just realize that this shit's old and dusty.
I hate it. I do really dislike it. Like
classic rock.
Yeah, I don't want to listen to a classic rock radio station. I despise it in public and stuff like that. Like I don't know. There's other stuff out there. I don't want to listen to. Well, listen, I do want to listen to the Cars. That was a lie. But like there are bands that I really like in that genre, but I think that like there are also a bunch of bands that I never have to hear a song from again in my entire life, because I've heard the songs a fucking million times. Always say that about Enter Sandman. Enter Sandman is a song that I should never have to hear again in my whole life, because you could stick your head out of your fucking window and somebody's probably listening to Enter Sandman. Like everywhere you go.
Turn on any sporting event and a team is probably taking the field or skating onto the ice to Enter Sandman, which is why it's so great that Seven Nation Army has entered that.
Yes.
And now that is the new tolerable Enter Sandman.
It's not tolerable. It will become intolerable to everybody. But for me, I'm already like, God. But as a classic, I'll say this. I don't care what they do at soccer games. You fucking do whatever the fuck you want. I hate it when people chant at wrestling. So maybe that is a reason that I can't get into it. Like I hate it when people, you know what you do when you go to wrestling? You cheer or you boo. You don't need to be chanting things, trying to be funny and shit like that. So like I think I tolerate it in other sports, but in wrestling I just
much like your musicians, you don't want your wrestling crowds to try to be funny. Just you have a role, just do it.
Just do your thing. And you know what? You'd be funny with your friends back in the green room. That's fun, right?
They'll think you're very funny.
Off in the green room, yeah.
You're talking about let's move on to the song's live performance history. It was played 39 times live, and it didn't get played past November 14th, 2005. So
sad.
It didn't make it out onto the Icky Thump tour. I mean, as a band's catalog grows and grows and grows, things get cut. And as much as this song rules, if Meg low key hates it and it's hard to play, and you got My Doorbell or Denial Twist or Blue Orchid, it gets the cutting room floor.
Yeah, me and John talked recently because John's going to see Korn.
Yeah.
Is going to see Korn, and I had just seen them at a festival, and I was like, started looking at the set list on setlist.com, and it was like, they open with Blind. It's the first time they've done that in like 15 years or something like that. Like that like sometimes they'll add a song, but I do think that like if you're a fan from the beginning, you ain't fucking getting like you know what you're getting. I think if you go to a concert and you complain about it because they didn't give you like whatever you were expecting, you shouldn't have been expecting that. It's just not like I went to see Deftones recently and I was like, oh man, they didn't play my favorite song. But my favorite song is like an album cut on Around the Fur. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why would they play Die the Flu at a concert when they have like actual songs that people love? So
I remember I went to see, this is a very Canadian band you might be aware of, the Tragically Hip, and I saw them with a buddy of mine, and my dad was also there independently, and I ran into him after, and I'm like, it was a great concert, and he's just like, well, they didn't play 50 Mission Cap, which is like their Enter Sandman, and I'm like come on, like what do you like? That's where your mind goes. That's what you're complaining about, is that they didn't play a song you hear 15 times on the radio every day. Come on, Dad.
There should be a number where for a song that played in public out loud through out loud speakers, you get a number of that. Like say you can play it 1 million times.
But that's then high. I was going to say 100,000.
Well, but people would complain. Once you hit that, like Satisfaction is another one.
Oh, I never need to hear that in my life.
I don't need to hear that song ever again. Maybe we can make it a law that you can only listen through headphones once it gets to a high number, because like it's nuts. I used to, back when I was on Facebook, like for real, this guy would every Friday night, he would just get fucking lit up drunk.
Hell yeah.
And he would post music videos. It was always something like Enter Sandman or like Baby Got Back or like just a song that you've heard so many times that like in his mind, you're like, this guy's dumb as fuck. Like this is the guy that all that music, this is the guy that needs to hear the song 4,000 times. Like, this is the guy that still goes nuts to Enter Sandman when they play it. Like this guy fucking freaks out when he hears Welcome to the Jungle. You know what I mean? And listen, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
A fan of Guns N' Roses.
I love Guns N' Roses, but it's not gonna, I'm not getting drunk and posting the official video link on Facebook being like, you know what the vibe is.
Well, I do have a friend too that like, everybody has one of these friends, but they're on Facebook. So you don't see it as much anymore. I have a friend that gets really, 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 really drunk on Friday and Saturday and watches classic rock concerts on Facebook and then posts them and like post lyrics and stuff like that. And I'm always just like, what? Why are you doing this? Like, why are you posting it? I'm fine with you posting what you're doing. Why are you listening to this? Why are you watching this concert? It's insane behavior.
AC/DC live at the River Plate or whatever. Like, sure, it's cool, but
my brother went with me to see Metallica. We didn't like it, but I got media passes and we went and saw Metallica. And he was like, all I'm listening to right now is AC/DC. And I was like, you know what? Fine. You know what I mean? Like AC/DC to me, everybody's like, all their songs sound the same. And I was like, that's because they have a style, you dumb fuck. Like the style of the songs.
Yeah.
Not that hard to figure out.
They've got a very simple style and there's some parallels between AC/DC and the White Stripes. And like that's something I really appreciate about both those bands. Because, to play, to play those songs as simply, but also as purposefully as they both do. Like, it ain't easy to do, and I respect the hell for it.
Yeah.
On the subject of live concerts, Girl You Have No Faith in Medicine has been performed in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh man, I missed
November
it.
November 12th, 2003 at the Promo West Pavilion.
Oh, I
Whatever
wonder
that
if
is.
that's the one that is there now. So the Promo West Pavilion at one point was a parking lot in a neighborhood that was horrible.
Oh yeah.
But then they built an actual, I think it's called the Lifestyle Communities Pavilion now or something. We all still call it Promo West, but
Sure.
it's like a 5,000
Oh yeah.
capacity venue. It can actually get bigger too. They can open the back gates because
Oh yeah.
it's so funny. Well, Mumford and Sons came one year, and that was the first time they opened the back gates and just let it fill the parking lot. And I was just like, that's an insane band to sell that many tickets. You know
I
what I
went
mean?
I went to see you talk on guys about how awful music festivals are, and I agree. One of the only ones I've been to was Sasquatch in 2013 during the folk craze. And I saw Mumford and Sons as one of the headliners, and people were screaming like the Beatles were on stage.
Yeah.
Like it was, and they were up on these risers. And I always say it reminded me of like a pirate Broadway musical. Like it was just so uncool. And I
Yeah.
turned to my friend Carly. I'm like, this sucks. I got to get out of here. And I just
I,
like right in the middle of the pit, and I just like left, and I went to see Primus play on the second stage.
I made John really mad because was it Chris? Somebody I made really mad because I had seen The Tallest Man on Earth. It was Chris.
Oh yeah.
And I fucking hated it. And I thought I was a fan of the album, right?
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, I love The Tallest Man on Earth. This is really
He
good."
does. Yeah,
We,
there's some good records there.
we went and saw him and it was horrible live. The same thing happened with the Black Keys. I was like, "I
Wow.
think I like the Black Keys." We went and saw them live at a homecoming show too because they're from here.
Yeah.
I was like, "This fucking sucks, dude. This is soulless." And that's what really got me to start looking for new stuff again, in like the mid 2000s and stuff. Like that's what I think got me into like some of the prog I was listening to and stuff.
I was hoping that you would have been at the Promo West Pavilion in Columbus in 2003 when they played this song, because they didn't. I was looking at it on setlist.fm, everybody's favorite website. They did not play their traditional closer, Boll Weevil, that night.
Oh
Um,
shit.
when and Jack and Meg have said in past interviews, when they think they've had a good show, or the crowd has been good and energetic and supportive, they play it.
Oh
So
no.
must have been a bad night in Columbus. I was hoping maybe you were there causing a ruckus or something.
Nope, I did. I mean, I guess nobody caused a ruckus.
Yeah, not enough ruckus. Jack says this isn't doing it for me. Columbus never.
Columbus
Whew.
audiences suck. I mean, audiences suck at this point, but I've been to a few shows here and I'm like, sucks. Like like I said, I went to I don't know. I find audiences now are like really like they pay so much money. They just
Yeah,
want to see the show. So they don't want to turn their back on the show. They don't want to mosh. They don't want to dance. They don't want to do anything. They want to just stand there, hold their phone up because they paid fucking $250 to be at the show on the
yeah.
floor and film the show. And it's sad because like the people that are sitting with their back to the back wall of the arena would go nuts if given the opportunity to go down there.
I
And it's
think
like,
that's what's revitalized. Like, kind of like, I agree with you on this. Like, I've been to a lot of big money, dynamic pricing concerts, just bucket list bands that I wanted to see. And like for Jack White's No Name tour, he played the Commodore Ballroom, which is like one of the best venues ever. About a 900,000 person room, really good venue in Vancouver. I was like, oh, he's playing here 2 nights. I'll go to both nights. I hope tickets aren't $300. Like, if they are, I'll pay for them, but I won't be happy about it. Tickets were 120 Canadian, which was 87 US.
that's not bad.
Shirts
Just
shirts are $40 American. Like, just it was a relief, because you talk about, at big shows now, you pay the premium tickets are the ones right in front of the stage, which back in the day, you avoided the front of the stage unless you wanted to, mosh or get sweaty or get pushed around. And now it's just people with a little bit more money than you that are like, I'm not missing a second of this show because I paid so much for it.
Yeah. I mean, I saw that happen at, I went to a really great Deftones show, but the people in the front, I guess they went a little crazy, but the whole arena was going crazy, so that was a different thing. But yeah, we went to the Sonic Temple Festival, and there wasn't no mosh pit there at all most of the time,
which is just so strange.
At a heavy metal festival too, it's all pretty much all metal that people were watching.
There's a great video that's making its rounds, like a good reel of Pantera opening up for Metallica in Nashville, and there's a circle pit going on the floor, and Jack White is there, like he's good friends with Lars Ulrich now, and which is so funny to me.
It is a funny thing.
But somebody's filming the circle pit, and then they cut to Jack, who's like looking at the guy's mosh with like this big, like proud smile on his face. And I'm like, yeah, he still got it.
I love it. I actually love like when people go crazy at a show. Yeah. It just doesn't happen as much at the big money shows. They're so expensive. Like, I understand somebody paying that extra money and being like, I'm gonna watch this fucking thing.
Sure. It all makes sense.
I fucking totally understand it. It just would be nice if
get a little silly.
Yeah, let's get crazy. Let's fucking push each other around. It's fun.
Let's get these shirts off.
Yes, guys used to throw their shoe at the stage and stuff like that. Let's go crazy.
Classic. Bryan, as we wrap up on this song, like what are your final thoughts and takeaways after this conversation and kind of listening to Girl You Have No Faith in Medicine a few times and get kind of reacquainted with it? Like what do you leave in this conversation with?
I still very much like the song. I still think it's good. I can't believe it's about women taking Tylenol. But you know what? Guys are weird. Like, rock guys are weird. He must have hung out with a Tylenol lady. So what are you gonna do?
That's the clip for Instagram right there. Bryan, I appreciated every avenue this conversation went down. Absolute pleasure to talk to you. I think everybody should find an episode of Guys. Absolutely tremendous podcast. Milk Guys was their last episode, and it ruled. And if you I recommended the POD cast to a buddy of mine, and I said, because of who like, we're the same vintage, like liked and appreciated new metal. I'm like, this is a very good show. They goof on it, but not like in the way that like people goof on new metal. Like the flowers are given, but like the stupidity is also pointed out. And I think you do a great job documenting that era and that type of music accurately. So I think people should check that show out too.
Yeah, a lot of people, I mean, there's a lot of episodes of PODcast, but not as many as like a weekly show. So a lot of people just binge that whole fucking show. I get many things where people are like, I just listened to all of the PODcast, and I'm like, yeah, I have fun doing that. And, I'm not making a ton of money from it or anything, but I'm having a really good time. So yeah, we just keep doing it.
Bryan, you're fantastic. I'd love to catch you down the road to discuss another song, maybe Off Icky Thump, an album you don't like, or maybe a song you do like.
Yeah, hey, I'm always willing to come back.
Okay, that was Bryan. I'm Ryan. Ryan and Bryan, running wild. Make sure you listen next week. You don't know what the song is going to be. I do, but I'm not going to tell you. But I will say this. Next week's guest is a very important figure in Canadian broadcasting and radio. He is the host of the Ongoing History of New Music. He is Alan Cross, and he's somebody who I grew up listening to and still listen to this day. He has an incredible podcast and radio show, and he joins us next week. My lovely, beautiful wife, Amanda, she is our assistant editorial producer. She reviews the episodes and, lets me know if I need to edit something or if something should be a clip. And she went off in her notes and regarding Jack's thoughts on women being particular with medicine. I'm not here to muzzle anybody, so this is her notes. In all caps, by the way. Okay, Jack, maybe if the scientific community actually included women in studies, they would have headache medications that actually fucking work. Okay, now we're into bulleted points and the caps lock is off. For most of history, it's a bunch of fucking dudes either assuming that results from men could be extrapolated to women or worse, all caps. They were smart enough to assume that drugs would affect women differently, but it's more work and money to include them, so they just didn't. Between that and the old guys in suits insisting that women should die because they are personally against a medical treatment that exists, I kind of get why, girl, you have no faith in medicine. Maybe in 2025, Jack White will get it too. We'll give him an opportunity to clear the air when he comes on the show. The Hardest Podcast to Podcast is hosted and produced by Ryan Schaap. Artwork by Catlin Likely. Amanda Schultz is our assistant editorial producer. Mike Noble is our Gato.